I'll just talk to the Mark because he's about to start the show.
Yeah, I knew that they were starting the show, so they should.
Just a moment.
All right, Zach. I'm bringing you up, bringing me and Ankit off. So,
what's up? What's up? How y'all doing? Funk from the front seat. Another great edition. Y'all gonna hang out today. We got a real special, two special guests in the house. Peace and love from Funk from the front seat. I'm number 9. I'm your host right here on ibm.tv. I got today 2 of my Florida homies, Mr. Leroy Cooper and Larry D. Carmine, both excellent musicians, producers, and we're gonna rap about the music game a little bit, see what's going on with y'all. But first, as we always do, we're gonna get it pumped up a little bit. Just a touch of love. Funk from the front seat live. Facebook Live, YouTube Live. This is what we need right now, y'all. More love in the world. Funk from the front seat. Welcome to our show. Just a touch of love. There we go. There we go. Come on. How you guys doing out there today? I hope everything is cool. Hope you guys are doing okay. We're going to bring on our guest in a minute. You know, thanks to our producer Mark Lee over here hanging out with us, and Ankit and all the good people in the world. We love you. You know, I see Lee Coop and my man Larry. I need to see them and see what we could do, get them on, and they're you know, get ready to come on in a second. But anyway, love you guys. Hope you guys are doing okay. Everything is beautiful.
We good. We good.
What's up? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing well, man. Your energy is infectious, man.
Yo, man, that's how I come on every time, bro. Where's my man Leroy at? Lee Coop. Hey, yo, man, lighten that up a little bit so I can see you, Leroy. Lighten that up. I need some light on you, bro.
Oh, man.
I need light on you, bro.
Yeah. Let me get some more light over here.
There you go.
Kind, man. Come on. Turn up the volume. Let's take this joint, man. Come on. You know how we do. Don't be all shy. How y'all doing down there in Florida?
Yo, you know how it is. The heat is on, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, baby. It's 101 up here right now. Let me tell you, 101. I'm baking.
You win.
Hey, yo, that's every day, all day, ain't it, Larry, man?
Oh, man.
I know. When I came to visit you, brother, and you was nice enough to put me up in your crib, man. Remember I was telling you, I just wanted to sleep until at least like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, bro. I couldn't handle the heat. Vacation, Larry, and I wanted to sleep in Coop's crib till 4.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing?
I was like, this is it every day, all day, man. This heat is
every day, all day. Every day. Yo, turn your mic up a little bit, Lee.
Yo, can you hear me now, man?
Yeah, move up a little bit. Yeah, we good.
Yeah.
So listen, brothers, we got a lot to chop up today. Again, here we are live on Funk from the Front Seat with Larry D. Carmine and my brothers and my other brother, Leroy Cooper from Florida. Both producers, musicians, you know, great people in the world, community activists, you know, all of that good stuff rolled into one. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So,
it,
yeah.
baby.
First
That's
thing we're going to get into is I want to know a little bit about your families and how you guys are dealing with the COVID crisis. And what we're going to try to do, you guys can kind of figure out who can go first and who goes second. But I'll ask Larry first. How are you and your family doing with the COVID crisis?
My family is good. Yesterday was my son's birthday. He's 24. So
beautiful, man.
Yeah, small celebration. Stay in, wear a mask, don't go out and crowded. It's real. Unfortunately, I've lost several friends, and you know some of the people we lost, musicians, and so you got to take it seriously. And as people of color, we're known to survive, but we can't be our own detriment. So just follow the rules. You have to social distance, and you have to wear a mask to protect others. And we have to survive this thing, man. Just stay home.
Hey, yo, Lee.
Yeah.
We've been hearing up here, man, about Florida and how they explode, man. How are you and your family and your son and everybody? How are you guys, Karen? How are you guys doing, man?
Hey, like Larry pretty much, laid it out. It's pretty much a serious thing down here. I think Florida kind of moved a little bit too quick to try to open it up, but the numbers were going to go up anyway,
Yeah.
But as far as on the family side, man, we're aware of this, wearing the mask, making sure that we keep that social distancing thing happening, and basically hygiene. Hygiene is very, very important to this too.
Always,
man.
yeah, man.
Like, not wear the mask and don't wash your ass. You know what I mean? So, so that's where we're at, man. Pretty much on the same page as what Larry's talking about.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because the whole world right now is looking at the United States as not the leaders anymore. You know what I'm saying? And we were always the ones out front on point on everything, good or bad. And now it's like, because of the circumstances, and we're going to chop that in a minute, but we most of us, and I saw a brother from England here the other day, and I said, listen, man, I apologize, because most of us are just really trying to do the right thing. So please don't think that all Americans are as ignorant as some of the statements that have been coming out, man. You know what I mean? So you guys are down there. You got this production company and this music thing popping. Tell me the name of it, and tell me how that came about. How did you two guys meet on this same circuit, the production end of it?
Well,
go ahead, Lee.
I tell you, man, this is classic. We're gonna run through it, pretty quick. We're all from New York.
Yeah, that's
Larry's
right.
From BK, Brooklyn. Of course, I'm from Rockaway, Queens, and then by Bay Shore, Long Island, and that's where we're from, Z.
Yeah.
And how we met, we were down in Florida. We were working with, because at this time I was doing the radio thing.
Right.
We had a friend named Chuck Triple Threat. And he was doing radio, and me and my partner was doing radio. So I met Larry at a studio gig that we were doing. And they would always pull us in to do a lot of the tracks, live. And that's how I met him. And we started playing, and it just clicked from the first day. And we've been together ever since, man. And,
hey, yo, Larry, jump in there, man, and tell me a little bit more about that.
Now, let me tell you about Lee's playing. He's a phenomenal bass player. Also a keyboard player, but the brother got a sense of ears. And we would sit there in sessions and we would play R&B and behind the rappers and stuff like that. And I think they liked the fact that as musicians, we listened and we locked. But we realized when we started playing, like the first couple of stuff, we looked over like, oh, this man is nice. And we would go, you could hear us trading licks when we were doing stuff. And you got a kick out of it. So we had a language like almost from the first session. And then we would wind up, they would call us in as pairs. We'd listen to the tracks, we would play. They would give us some direction. But I think it was just what we brought to the table. As far as our playing, our listening, our sensibilities, our musical sensibilities came from this almost the same damn place, man. He would do it and I go, okay, I got you. And I do a rhythm thing. And from there, we just had a lot of fun playing together, because you don't find that. Well, you find that more in New York because there's such a vast musicians, but it's a little bit more rare here that you could sit and groove with somebody. And I'm not talking about after weeks of rehearsal. I'm talking about 8 bars into the tune. You're locked.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You know when you lock in with somebody, you lock in. And primarily rap, hip hop, some R&B drum machine stuff. But that's a world we exist in.
Right.
Yeah, right. You said a good point. It doesn't take long to be locked in with a brother, you know what I mean? Or a sister, or musicians in general. Because if you locked in here before you even get in and you're collaborating, staying out of the way and letting it breathe and making it work is the key.
Right.
That is the key.
Funk is what you don't play.
Right.
Exactly.
Bootsy
Collins. Less is more.
Yeah, less is more.
Less is more. Right. So I see somebody got, Larry, you got all those guitars back there and basses. I see that. Tell me what you got back there.
The bass is just a showpiece. The bassist is right here. I got desperate one day, and it was on sale. And I work with Lee, so I'll pick up a bass, but I'll put it away. You know, it's got a little dust on it. I'm in my home studio. I have a combination of softwares that I use. Reasons is my primary DAW. I have Ableton, Pro Tools, Spitfire. I have a collection of guitars.
Yeah, man. That's tight.
They have their own different kind of sounds. That's my COVID guitar right here.
Okay.
That's that one at the beginning.
I see the mask.
Well, it's the dust rag.
Oh, okay, I felt the mask.
Yeah, and it's like colors in a palette. I've been digging on this one, and I've done some stuff there that pulls me to the jazzier plane. That's my standard Strat I had since I was 17 or maybe 19, I think, 20-teen. But these are tools. These are colors. These are tools in the toolbox, colors in the crayon box.
There you go, man. Yo, cool. You just got. Oh, sorry, Larry. Go ahead.
No. Right, cool. We want to see your new bass.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what you get, man. What'd you get? Show us. Show the world.
Yeah, man.
Right, man. I'm about to step back. My place is like in construction mode right now.
Man, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
You good, bro? Show the world. Here we are again, live on Funk from the Front Seat, ibm.tv, with Leroy Cooper and my man Larry DeCarmine. So when we jamming on Sundays, you know, I do another show with ibm.tv, and I would love to have you guys kind of put something together, you know, and come back on and do a little something for us unplugged, you know, in a couple of weeks. How about that?
We would like to put them together, man. Too.
So, hey, yo, Coop, what you got right there, bro?
Just picked up this Ibanez, man. 1940.
Yeah, move it in front of you. There you go. That's it.
Wait.
And it's all just picked it up, man. It's just beautiful artwork, man.
That's nice.
What they did with this, man. And of course 5-string, because Larry's like, yo, man, I'm not gonna let you play on no more tracks unless you start breaking out the 5-string. So
I feel you.
He's a great player.
Kramer. I still got the Kramer DM5000. Still got the Fender Jazz.
Yes.
Now. And of course the Beast, the Warwick.
Yes.
Working with all of those now, you know.
Yeah. Yo, I love it.
Well, got the Kurzweil now. Kurzweil 2600X for the keys. The MU for all the drum machine stuff. And working on getting my DAW, man. And after I get that set up, man, then I'm back in business again. So that's been holding me up.
Feel you. So tell me a little bit more about Power Station. Because I know Coop, you was telling me about that a while ago when they moved to Florida and how you got involved with them. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Power Station, originally that happened about 20 years ago.
Right.
And, I just ran across it through another cat that was, it was Avalon Recording Studios, and Joe Butera is the guy's name. And he had connection with, help me out, Larry. What's my man's name again?
It's Rob and Bon Jovi.
Yeah. And, but anyway, what happened was the Power Station that was in New York, he had shut it down, transplanted it, and came down to Florida. And at reunion, they had liked what I was doing, and I was hired to do a lot of, the session work for them and stuff like that. And then they moved down to Lauderdale, and that's the rest is history. And we've been there ever since, man. But to be a part of that family, as you know, Z, and of course, as Larry knows, all the hits that were done out of there. You had Chic that was out of there. You had Aerosmith that came out of there. Everybody and anybody who was recording in the 70s and 80s did work at the Power Station.
It was more than just a recording facility. It had a sound just like the historic Motown studios.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of great engineers came out of there. Joe Furler, one of my favorite. Bob Clear Mountain, as you know, had many hits. And when Lee introduced me to Power Station in Lauderdale, it was like going home. It felt like, smelt like, it had the same kind of essence as, and you don't find that kind of history. I mean, that was long gone. And we have a wonderful engineer that we work with, and just the whole vibe of the place. So we found a production home. Now, Lee's getting his home studio, and I do a lot of production here and some writing. But when we go there to mix, it's not really to work. It's to hang out and to redefine and reshape the sound. Because you can have all the DAW and the software stuff in the world, but they got some hardware, they got some atmosphere, they have a Neve console just running through the stuff, just all of the things collectively, technically.
Right.
Still, there's a service. A studio is more than putting a signal down. I can put a signal down in my house. And Lee always says, man, that's great mixes. But then when we go to station, all of a sudden the mixes are like, damn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
They expand, like it's like what we do at Larry's house. All they do is they take and expand on it, because we do great work at Larry, and Larry's a great engineer himself, and he's being a little modest right now. That's why I don't know if you check the bio on him and all the work that he's done throughout the years, man. He worked on a lot of projects, man. And the guy that owns the studio, his name is Tom Bon Jovi, who's related to John Bon Jovi.
Right.
That's his uncle, I think. Yeah.
Right. And that's the only
right. John is his nephew.
Right.
Okay.
Cousin.
Okay.
Excuse me,
cousin. Okay.
Cousins. Okay. All right.
And he also worked at Motown back in the years from like mid '60s on, and then he had a lot of hits and did a lot of engineering session work with them. And then he broke, left Detroit, and went to New York, and then put Power Station together, man. And and it just feels good to be a part of that family, man, and have that respect. And that's what it is. It's a family with these guys, man.
Yeah. I don't feel like we're working. I never feel like a client. I don't think that's what it says client on the work order, but that's it, man. I've never, even some of the gear, a couple of EQs and that love that compressor. Some of that stuff is Motown, man. And you can't do that. You can't find that. That doesn't
that's right. That vintage.
Yeah,
Here we are on ibm.tv with Larry DeCarmine, Leroy Cooper, straight from Florida. My good friends down there hanging out on Funk from the Front Seat on ibm.tv. So when you guys listen to the music today, and I'm not talking about some of the better produced stuff, but just some of the slipshod stuff, and I'm not knocking anybody's hustle. I love it all. You know, but when you think about the Quincy Joneses and Terry Lewis, Jimmy Jams of the world, and Kevin Harringtons of the world, like when you listen to the difference, what is it that you hear that you would want to try to tell some of these young producers to say, hey, why don't you take it back a notch and listen to something that how Maurice White might have did something? Because I hear a lot of stuff nowadays, and I'm like, I can hear it overproduced almost to a fault. And it bothers me because I'm like, but I know you could never be that perfect. Even Prince, as great as he was, sometimes he would say, listen, I left something in because it just felt good.
Right.
You know?
We sort of had this conversation. My thing is, a lot of producers will do stuff now out of convenience.
Yes.
Because I got a laptop, I can do it quickly and easily. But that doesn't mean it's got the kind of qualitative sound. So to me, quality always over convenience. Now, I didn't say perfection, because we were talking about the other day, and we were saying, you know, obviously we like, if you sing something and there's a feel to it and it's not pitch perfect, but the feeling's right, the feeling's right. So I don't need to sit there and autocorrect every note to make it land perfectly on the scale if the feeling is there. Now, of course, you got to play in tune, you got to have your technicals together, but the fact that I can do something on my laptop and I could do it quickly and have the convenience of it, it doesn't necessarily make the quality of it. My whole studio, I do great mixes out of here. Lee and I, we go back and forth. But then when we go to Power, it's never a, damn, your mixes at home sound better, because there's another level there.
Yes.
Collaboration's important. This guy here is my other musical head. He will push me, and I will push him. over the summer we used to get together 3-4 times a month and actually session work together and write.
Right.
And then we would send stuff back and forth. Over this summer, I started sending stuff below middle C, pushing him to play the E. And every new tune I sent him is at below low E, so he has to use the 5th string. And we tease each other. And he sends me stuff back and says, "Man, you got to check the tempo." He's just sent patches. Great tune. Change your patches. So we challenge each other. And I think people do stuff and they stop. I have a musical partner that pushes me to betterment. And of course, when I was like, "Oh, this guy wants another tempo." And he go, and I'll listen. Okay, he's got something. And we go back. You got to listen. I don't think cats are listening. They're doing stuff out of convenience. Just because you can auto-tune doesn't mean you should.
You're right, man. You just nailed it right there, Larry. I mean, I'm not even going to have to go over it and repeat everything you said because you caught it. And going back to your question, Zach, really what I'm doing, I'm just listening to the cats who are trying to tap in to where we left off. And I think Bruno Mars, for me, has done some great stuff as far as trying to merge both worlds with the technology of today, but the heart of what we had to go through and how we studied our craft and the word woodshed. A lot of these young kids don't know what woodshed is, man. Like sitting in your room for 8-9 hours a day and really working on your craft. So that's why at the ages we are now, we could go into a studio and like I remember you saying, "See, I don't rehearse." Well, it's not that you're not rehearsing. It's like you've been to school already and you know what that's supposed to sound like because you've heard it somewhere once before.
You put in 40 hours at home to give you 5 minutes of perfect funk there. Right. It's not the 5 minutes. It's all of the time you built. A 5-minute song doesn't take 5 minutes to do. Right. We would get together and jam, but it's because we're so learned that we would have, and then sometimes we take the jams and arrange them into tunes.
As far as time, and now you guys remember back in the day how much it cost to go into the studio per hour.
Yeah, so that's right. Yeah,
it was crazy, right? So that in itself, like when we go to Power, man, we're already prepared. I think, right, Larry, we're done with the work in less than an hour.
Yep.
Yeah, we for every hour we work, there's 45 minutes of us enjoying ourselves and maybe 15 minutes of work because we've put in the work. And what we're looking for is new sonic colors that we can't produce. Paul, our engineer, is another member of the team.
Right.
Yes. Paul, he will hear something and he'll say, "I suggest this" or "I suggest that." Paul is right. I don't want to say Paul is right 10 times out of 10, but Paul is right very often because we'll look and say, "Okay, I get," you know what I mean? He's a member of the team. And I think if you're just a laptop producer, there is no team.
No.
Right.
And very few people are Princes and Quincy's that have it all up in here. I need musicians.
Yeah. I got to feed off of somebody. You know,
right about that team, because and I work with a great team, and with my band Nappy Head and producers, some of them are in the band, and I learned over the years about how to utilize everybody's skill to the optimum, get the maximum out of everyone's particular skill, and I think that a lot of times, like you said, Larry, when you're in an island by yourself, yes, it sounds great. And don't get me wrong, I love the Bruno Marses of the world and all the stuff that they do. But again, that whole family team feel in the music, like when you listen to Sly and the Family Stone,
that's
even
exactly
today,
what I was going to say.
you can tell they were tight. Not only as a band, but as a family. Parliament Funkadelic, Earth Wind, the cats that worked with George Duke when him and Stanley started doing their stuff, and Dennis, they all locked in so well together, they became that other thing. And that's where I think a lot, you can hear it in the music. You can hear it, because when I hear something and I'm like, wow, okay, that's great. But again, it doesn't feed my soul and my spirit and my heart. And that's something that Kevin and I talk about, my producer, all the time. We're always talking about what is the new music feeding to us? What are the lyrics? How is the soul? You know, we all make songs for fun, but now in 2020, we got to kind of shift it and make some music that's going to have a serious message. So as you guys go forward, tell me some of the ideas that you might be thinking about now when it pertains to that particular subject.
Just go from your heart, go from your soul. I think what has happened is a lot of producers get caught up on what is going on now instead of finding out what sounds good to you, what's opening up your heart, what's opening up your soul. How are you connecting with various different issues today? Because when you go back to Earth, Wind, and Fire, you know, Maurice and all those guys, they were tapping in to what was going on around them, tapping into the world. I would have to say Marvin Gaye, which his words today from the What's Going On album.
Oh, God, yes. God,
today.
yes.
And it's also not the music that you write for now. Like Lee said, you don't have to copy a T-Pain and get that sound. It's not where you are, it's where you need to go. And like Earth, Wind, and Fire, Stevie Wonder, these were messages. The music's 20 years, 30 years old, but it's still forward and progressive thinking.
Right.
Very relevant.
Then what we need to say next year. So it's not where you are. Don't copy the top 40 stuff. You find your sound and tell us where we need to go. Enlighten more than entertain. Enlighten. Yeah. You know,
I want to touch back on that Marvin Gaye thing, Lee, that you hit on, because Marvin Gaye, Inner City Blues, and What's Going On, that stuff, genius, way ahead of its time. Even though the same thing was kind of happening, man.
It's going on right now.
That Inner City Blues, I want to do a remake of that myself. I was listening to that the other day, and I listened to Paul Schaefer and his band, their version of it from Letterman, because they did a nice version. And then I listened to Marvin's version, and you know, I was thinking to myself, man, somebody else has got to do this again, you know, because Earth, Wind, and Fire, and those guys, and the Stevie Wonders, and you know, the geniuses of the world, you know, they left us all of this stuff, and it's because of gentlemen like, you know, yourself and Larry that actually keep it alive in the studio and bring it to where people can kind of grab it again. You guys are amazing with what you do and how you grab the music, and you know, I'm sure you guys always had your favorite go-to producers, because we're talking on a production end now. Who was somebody that you really got into, Larry, as a production person?
A guy named David Ganson, who did Shaka Khan, and underrated producer. He did Shaka Khan and Michelle Ndegeocello. And
I love her. Oh my God.
Arif Martin, who did Shaka and all. There's so many, and some of the young cats. I have a nephew that is doing some wonderful work, Rexel, and he's gone from the electronic to the much more musical. So it's hard to pick a favorite, because that's like saying what's your favorite color.
Right.
But people that use the technology in a way that doesn't hinder them bring the artists to the forefront. Because at the end of the day, my job as a producer is to make a platform for the artists to say what they need to say.
And you tapped on to something there, Larry. Unknown, the cats that don't get the accolades. You know, it's like it's so commercial. And if you guys ever get a chance, and I'm talking about anybody's checking out our interview today, check out Verdine's Whites. He's got an interview that he did for over 60 seconds where he talks about the business and where the business was hindering Earth, Wind, and Fire towards the end. This is why when we were saying, wow, man, I don't think they got it anymore. It's not that they didn't have it anymore. The business is what started shifting them to go into areas where they were not plugging into who they were when they were getting the big hits. But that's a great interview if you ever stumble across that on YouTube.
That's interesting. You know, a lot of artists, and you know, I'm a P-Funk head, Funkadelic, Parliament all day, you know, and I noticed too, when Stanley Clarke and George Duke got into the movie end of it, me and Gary was talking about this, and they started getting out of the fusion thing because the market changed on them. Not in England and Europe, only in America. because in England, Europe, they was still doing what they did. But you know, they started going more into writing formats for TVs and for movies, right?
Right.
You guys ever think that you're going to move in that direction as well?
Oh, for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Larry take that over. But yeah, that's what we're always talking about. And Larry, give him a little bit of that background on.
I've done some scoring for various films, for television. I actually have 2 things out in children's television right now. And
Awesome.
one of the things is you can get a budget for an album for $50,000. You get a soundtrack budget is $250,000.
Yeah.
So there is no really comparative. Also, the revenue stream. If I score for a film, there's a film stream, there's a television stream, there's a cable stream, there's an internet stream. You get money when they play it on the airplane. You get money when they play it on your cell phone. So there's various revenue streams. You may have 8 to 10 revenue streams on a soundtrack, because if I have films and some of the soundtracks out now, I get a check because it was played on HBO. It's not being played on the radio, HBO. So you want to explore that, because with the advent of the internet, there are many ways to distribute programming as we're sitting here now.
Right.
And all of that program needs content, musical content.
I hope you guys are hearing that, because the brother's laying it out for you, telling you exactly all the different revenue streams that you can do from doing soundtracks and movies. And Larry, thank you for that. And I kind of read up on your background, but I wanted you to elaborate, because that's something that people need to know about when they're thinking about production, and, you know, being a self-contained business person. And Leroy, you were always on the business end of it, even back when we was living on Strong Island, and you know, you went to Artie, and you had brought us in there, and I had never really did that before, and you know, I was very, very impressed with how business savvy you were when it came to the music game, and I give you kudos for that. You were always ahead of your time when it came to putting it out there like that, man. And I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of you, Larry, as well. Anytime I can sit on my show and have some brothers kicking it around the world, you know, to everybody, that's a blessing. That's what we do here on ibm.tv, man. So let's address the elephant in the room. We're gonna have to at some point. The show, you guys are great. Obviously, I want you to come back on both of my shows and play some music, and you know, we'll get to that. But the Black Lives Matter movement, as black men in a hostile environment such as Florida, you guys are kind of the beacons of light, positive energy, sources of inspiration, right? And where do you see, now that we have the information once again, now it's time for physical change, laws to be made, you know, not protesting and looting. I'm not going to get into all of that. That's irrelevant. I'm talking about concrete, solid laws. What would one of you put into place to say, okay, we definitely need this?
Wow.
I don't know about a law, but I think we need I'm sorry, Lee, go ahead.
I think what has to start happening now, because of all of the information that's being put out right now, and it's funny that you brought up the protesting. We have to start watching, you know, what we do and how we do it, because the first thing that when they see looting or they see anything like that, automatically look at what the black folks are doing. And we got to pay attention. What has been coming out, and correct me if I'm missing this, but we have people that are coming in that don't even live in certain neighborhoods that are starting things and causing that image to say that, look, this is what they're doing when they're not doing that. So what I think what needs to really happen now is we need to pay attention, start keeping a better eye out on what doesn't belong, if you understand what I'm saying there. If you see that something that doesn't belong in the neighborhood that is going to cause a problem, then we need to check them. And by checking them, get with the local police department. And I'm just going to get on that really quick and short. I think what has to start happening as far as the crime on blacks through the police department, we got to start having police within the department starting to come out and check themselves and break down that wall and say, that's wrong. That it has to start there. You know? It has to start internally before we could see anything externally happen. And let's try to keep our heads, as angry as we are, let's use our minds and strategize. Play the game of chess. You know.
I see you jump in there, Larry. I see you. Go ahead, man.
I think the greatest weapon we have is our mind and our education.
True.
You can have a law that says not park here, but if you weaponize your mind for greater good, if you get a degree, if you get a career, if you get a skill set that can't be undeniable, not destructive, but creative, and it could be creative in the business world, in the culinary world, in the music world. Once you attain that, you don't have to go through systemic racism. And we know certain institutions are more racist, but man, a brilliant mind is the most dangerous weapon on the planet. Not the gun, but the brain behind the science and the engineering of that weapon. We need to, I don't want to say weaponize in a negative way, but in a protective way that our skill sets. Education, traditionally, for some of us as a people, are insulted by education. We should embrace it.
That's right.
You can take my job away, but you can't take my ability to make money, to think. It's not even outside of the box. There's no more box. We should be limitless. So I think that's something we can self-impose. What
bothers me is the fact that so many, I don't want to say young because I see old people doing it too. They somehow have lost their self-esteem, which causes them to transfer their pain onto others of our race. And that bothers me because there's no reason we should be killing each other over clothing. That's a self-esteem issue. You know what I mean? That's like, okay, I got to make myself feel good. And Kevin and I, this is his favorite thing. And this comes from Kevin Harrington. I got to make myself feel good by making you feel bad, you know? And that's the self-esteem issue. It's like, why would a group of young black males jump an innocent young black female over sneakers? You know, why be on the block and shoot each other and kill innocent black kids because you want to kill each other over a piece of cement you don't even own? You know, to me, and I say this a lot on my show, gangs are equally in the category of being a terrorist, if you ask me, you know, and just like, okay, you know, they fly planes into the towers, and even though they didn't do that, but still in all, people say that, then why can't we have gangs be put in the same category? It's only because they're only tearing up the black community. And that bothers me. And like you said, Larry, that's when it comes to critical thinking. Got to use your mind. If you could talk to, say, a Crip in the Blood right now, what would you tell those two brothers if you could sit them down at the table and give them some concrete education?
Me personally, you got to kind of know where you. It's the African concept of Sankofa. You got to know your history to know your future. 150 years ago, as a slave, people were taught to read. That was a death sentence. Now we're self-repressing. We're not reading. We're not writing. We're not questioning. We're accepting material. Oh, I got to have the Gucci this. No, you ain't got to have that. What you gotta have is a way to get that and not harm anyone and yourself. So you got a woodshed. Just like a musician has to woodshed, you have to woodshed as an intellectual thinking. And education is just woodshedding. It's just getting better at your craft.
Well, the key is
making observations.
The key is that we can't forget, and that's going back to what you said earlier, Zach, where like we're talking like black on black crime and self-esteem, breaking out self-esteem. That was one of the tools that they used, man, back during slavery. So those like beating your child, you know, that's something that, you know, I've experienced in my own family. But where did that come from? That's generations and generations and generations of saying, in order to get a reaction, we have to, you know, do an action by beating. That's control. you know, and that's where we have to get away from. And that's part of critical thinking. And like Larry said, what's so sad is now we have the rights to go in and get the information, but kids choose not to dig into the history, you know, and to talk to a Crip or a Blood is the biggest key word. Love yourself first, then you can love your brother second.
That's right. And the reason I brought them up is because the original gang situation in LA was not about violence. It was about simply walking the children across a dangerous intersection. If everybody does the history about the Bloods and the Crips, they became two separate things. They were one thing. From my understanding, again, I'm not perfect with my recollection, but I've talked to people that were older that were from California, and they explained this to me. Basically, there was a really dangerous part of town intersection, no stop signs, no street lights. So the community formed a group to help their kids simply walk across the street safely. And then it became all of this other stuff by the government infiltrating and causing them two factions to battle each other. And then the guns, the gangs, then you had the Black Power movement. But a lot of that simply came out of the necessity to just simply walk their kids across the street safely. And a lot of people don't know that. And that's a very interesting point. And when I found that out, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Because in the Black community, we've always had the barbershop and the church.
Right.
The barbershop was our country club. The church was our House of Representatives. You know, it was the Capitol building. It was our White House, you know. And
why did they put that together? Going back to, you know, the history on the gangs in California, because it's what we're dealing with now, race. Again, it always came back to race. Because what started happening, Compton, if you look at the history on that, and that was predominantly a white neighborhood. But then when the blacks started moving in, the whites were fighting what they thought, you know, was theirs, and you don't belong here. And that's where it still stems from, man. It's still a race issue. We're not getting away from it. And now we got a president who is still egging that on, or
yeah, he is. Of course he is.
The origin of a gang was usually some kind of self-determined collective that you had community. The corruption of the gang is the crimes, the racism, the feeling, the territorial thing. But just like you mentioned the church, just like the synagogue, and you can even look at cops as a gang. The cops' job is to protect the community, but when the cops start protecting other cops, that's a corrupted gang.
Right.
Yep.
I'm only serving myself. So when the gang stopped serving community, the Panthers, they had daycare, they had education, they had food drives, but when you're violence, you know, now you're a terrorist organization.
But what was one of the biggest things when the Black Panthers? What was one of the biggest things that they were promoting?
Self-determination, economic strength, owning businesses.
All of that is true, but it was the right to bear arms.
Yes.
They didn't want to see a black man with a gun in his hand.
That's a scary thing, bro.
and Reagan was like, and a lot of people don't remember that, or may remember, Reagan was governor of California back during that time.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
And, you know, they were going up to the Capitol and saying, we have the right to bear arms like you. And they're saying, no, you don't have the right to bear arms. So then you have kids that were going to school hungry. Then they started the after school lunches, the after school programs, and the breakfasts for the kids to have.
As always, the game was rigged. You know what I'm saying? Because it was okay for the whites to have their rights to carry these guns in black neighborhoods, and they would simply saying, listen, it's our right too. You know, I'm not a gun owner, but I don't mind if people own guns. I just want to put that out. I do not own a gun, but I don't mind if people own guns because I believe in freedom in this country. At the same time, I was joking about this the other. I said, you know what would change the gun law if every Afro-American, brown-skinned person, Asian went out and started, you know, using their right to bear arms, then you would see the laws change.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? Then you would see. Yep. Go ahead, Larry.
That's the whole privilege thing. The laws work for it's my benefit to exalt my freedoms, but they need to work against your benefit, and that's a privilege thing that some people is inherent to.
Right.
To me, I'm not a gun owner, but if it's your right, it is your right. I support your right. It's also your right to vote, and that's a privilege.
Right.
That has to be. People died for that. We have to weaponize that. When I say weaponize, I'm not talking about it in a negative way.
I know what you mean.
We have to make sure we use it and we don't take it for granted.
Yep. You know, I got friends in Australia. They say in Australia, it's the law. You have to vote. Right. It's illegal if you don't. And I think we should make that law here. This last election was lost because a lot of people chose simply not to vote.
Right.
You know, and here we are. Look at the situation we're in. Now we're struggling bailing water out of a sinking ship.
Yeah.
Right. You know, the thing is, let's, educate ourselves on the candidates too. Like, don't go in there. I've caught myself in my early years going in there and saying, well, because that person is that particular party check. And that was probably the wrong person for the job. So one of the key things that we should do is educate ourselves with the candidates, do a little bit of background history on who you're putting in office. Because it's not always what's the, whatever party you're in. Just because you're in that particular party, that's the right candidate. No.
A vote is a job interview. When I vote for someone, they work for me.
Yes.
I want to pay this person. It's a job interview. And we've all seen people coming in job interviews and saying, no way with this guy. He doesn't fit. And then sometimes we have to keep an open mind. But that's what I look at as a vote. I'm going to hire you for 4 years, for 6 years, for 2 years. If I made that mistake, I'm going to correct it by firing you.
Beautifully said.
They work for me.
That's right.
For
the people.
I don't work for their interest. Don't get it twisted.
That's right. That's right. And you made a good point, because I think we lose that sometimes, because I know in New York, you're right, Leroy, Democrat, all right, down the line, bing, 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 right? It may not have been the best person for the job, but because it was just that systematic horse with the blinders on, everything is blue, I'm going blue, and I'm glad you said that, because right now, I always consider myself a liberal independent. If I have to put a label on it, I'm not going to. Of course, I lean Democrat, but at the same time, I don't agree with everything that happens with that either. But I definitely don't agree with racism, murder, the systemic, stealing of all the money, everything that we have to deal with. And we know, and we'll get into this on another show. There's another level even above the president. So we ain't even going to go there. Now, swinging it back. And again, here we are, ibm.tv with my man Larry DeCarmine and Leroy Cooper out of Florida, two of my best buddies holding it down on Funk from the Front Seat. And let's swing back to that project, Leroy, that I love and care about so much, the Sarah Smile Project. Like, right? Where
it is. Right there.
Okay.
Tell them where they can find it. And where it is.
They can get it off of Spotify, YouTube, all of the digital outlets, man.
Tell them the name. What's the name of it?
It's Valerie Valentine Love Sessions. And the hits, man, there's a lot of bangers on there. There are bangers. Matter of fact, I think it was like number, what was it, Larry, over in England? Was it number 2 or 1 somewhere over there for a little bit?
Sarah Smile had charted on a couple of shows fairly high. It was in the 2s and the 3s, and it's music of a Hall & Oates tune that we did as a duet. Valerie Valentine is an awesome artist. Wonderful lot of soul, a lot of heart, a lot of live performance. But she is an artist. And all artists, they have a vision of themselves, and she's strong, and she was a great production factor in here. And we had to work hard she pushed us.
Right. We pushed each other for sure.
We pushed each other, and that again going with that team. We did Sarah Smile. We did Lover's Lane and Sweet Day, which was older jazz tunes that they had written before. We did I Forgive You. We did Call My Name, which was a wonderful tune by another artist, and she killed it.
Yes. I love that song. I love that song.
We brought her band in for that one.
Yeah, I heard the project. I love it. David Brooks told me to tell you guys hello, by the way, out of Philly.
All right, man. Peace, Dave.
But I love that project. And when I heard it, Lee told me how, it had went, it had hit and, top 3, 4, 5 in the charts over in England and places like that in Germany. And I always wanted to meet her, but never had the chance to. Where did you guys meet her at?
Wow, that was another one.
You're gonna have to go on that one, Lee. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, Valerie was a project that started with Chuck, and then Chuck was started to expand and do some other things, and then he introduced me to Valerie, and then Valerie and us started working together. Larry, myself, and Valerie. Because she was working with her, and then like most things happen, other projects take more precedence than the other one, so she was kind of like just out there, and then we said, well, all right, let's pull you in, because she does have a great voice. She can go live, and
she's also a good writer, strong
writer. All we do with her, man, is we set her the track. She comes back with the words, and then she puts her flavor and she puts her thought into that.
Right. Yeah, I dug the track, man. I loved it, especially the remakes that you guys did, because that's the stuff that I grew up with, that I personally like and that I miss, and I'm glad artists are you guys are doing it. Do you have any future work coming up with her?
We got right now. We're kind of like in the middle of our thing. I think we got one track. Isn't that right?
Okay,
right. We have one track, possibly a second one, because of our social distancing. It hasn't slowed us down from writing, but now we have to share a track, share the production electronically. So we're getting that together where I could send him material that he plays on, and so we can still songwrite, create, arrange, and produce at a distance, as opposed to us being in the same room.
Right.
I miss working with Lee. Obviously, I mean, first off, we talk about everything, but the music just drives us. And sometimes, again, we finish the music in 15 minutes and BS for 45. But it's still that exchange. We still listen to each other.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm the same way, man. I miss, my boys up in New York and, going to, record and, rehearse and all that stuff. And it's weird how, thank God, we have social media now, even though it's not always the greatest thing. But imagine if we didn't have it, we couldn't even do this show right here. You know what I mean?
That's right. So, we'd be even more lost.
And keep it moving. You guys are amazing, man. And where can they find you at? Are you guys on social media, Facebook? Where you guys at?
We're starting to build that train up right now. It's L&L6 Productions, and a lot of people have asked me, what the hell is the 6 for? Well,
right.
The letter L is the 12th alphabet letter in the alphabet divided by 2. Just some crazy stuff.
Thank you, because I was going to ask you.
I get it.
That's what it is.
I get it.
I knew what the L was for.
The 12th letter in the alphabet divided by 2.
There you go. L. So where's the 6? Oh, that's what the 6 is. I get it. Divided. That makes the 6. Okay, I got that. I understand that. Being number 9, I definitely relate to numbers.
And on the other side of it, we had to put something together really quick. We put the album, had to get ready, and we needed to put the production company together. So it was like, all right, come up with
that one won. But there's nothing greater than doing the collaborative productions. I work in the film, I do the television, and when you get a bunch of like-minded creative people together, that's a force. Politically,
Yeah.
Alvin Ailey's dance company, great orchestra. If everybody's pulling, it highlights the strength of the piece. And that's part of my issue with some of the modern music I hear. It's one guy with a laptop and one guy that's doing vocals, and whatever they did, it didn't go beyond that. And some of it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Some of it is not.
Well, Z, he one man Larry is just way too mellow. He worked with Patti LaBelle back in the day. Larry's got some great stuff, man. He's worked with Patti. Who else did you work with, Larry, back then? You worked with Patti.
Michelle Ndego, Ocello. I did somebody else with Jocelyn Brown, because that another group of musicians out of New York.
I know Jocelyn.
Yeah.
Somebody else's guy. I remember that. Somebody else. Yeah. I know
Fred MacFarlane, late Fred MacFarlane, and worked in a place where a young producer, Kashif, Paul Lawrence Jones, Jonathan Butler, Wayne Brathwaite, Barry.
I played with Wayne once.
Oh yeah.
I did some gigs with Wayne. Barry Eastman had a band, and I was in Barry's band for a minute.
Wonderful human beings, wonderful players, and I was a kid. I mean, I was in my 20s, but I got exposed to songwriters, producers, engineers, and it was school for me.
Yeah.
And I worked on a couple of Spike Lee films, doing everything from soundtracking to post-production, music mixing to location sound. So I've been blessed because of New York. You had a lot of, and it's more of a wilderness down here.
Yes, it is.
And Lee and I got in this conversation. We went to the same music school, but we were a couple of years apart.
Right.
It was Five Towns College for music. But that shaped us musically.
Yeah.
To speak that language. And we were just talking about that the other day, because that exposure groomed us.
Yeah.
His work with bands, his work with Cameo, it shapes us, and we bring those shapes. I just
Amityville. Z knows about that. We all went through the same. And well, hey, Z, tell them how we met, man.
Yo, I met Leroy because me and my boy Nathan, this is back, I don't know, in the 70s, and we was always trying to jam the P-Funk stuff, but we was looking for a bass player, and Leroy was playing with the Mills Brothers at the time, another rival bass drum band, and we were all kids, mind you now. Trust me, we were kids developing what we wanted. So I never really worried about bum rushing someone else's rehearsal. That was never a thing with me. A lot of times people were hesitant. I was like, nah, I'll go over there. I don't care. Because back then it was like, oh, you're going to somebody's rehearsal, they're going to kick you out, or you're not allowed in if you ain't in the clique. So I was like, let's go over there, right?
That was our gangs back then. That was our gang.
Yep. Nathan told me about this guy. He said, yo, this is the guy we got to try to get. So I went over there and I was like, yo, I heard him and he was playing. And I was like, all right, cool. And he was a little young guy with this big afro, man. White face, big ass afro. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, listen, we're doing some funkadelic stuff. I was like, we're getting ready to play. And this is a true story. Yep. I was like, we got a gig coming up. The only gig for the summer. I said, we're getting ready to play at a strip club.
Two guys.
Right? Again, true story. I kid you not. So we rehearsed a couple of songs, threw together a makeshift PA, right? And I dug what Leroy was doing, because when we rehearsed, he was into Stanley Clark's School Days, the fusion stuff. And I was like, that's serious stuff. So the cat was definitely on it. He had his own style already. The popping, slapping thing, had all of that down, and he was an individual. And him and I instantly locked on bass and drums, mostly as brothers, but we locked. And, he had to get his dad to come to the gig because he wasn't old enough to get in. I kid you not. So we used to play in a strip club, even though I was only 18, wasn't even supposed to be there myself. Same with Nathan, 18. And we did the gig, right? And we did there a few times, but that was the bond. That's how him and I met, And then he went into the service after that, but we always still stayed in touch. And then we had another band, Few and Company, with Fred Wadlington out of Amityville, and we did that. But that's how we initially met, and I'm grateful that I met him. He's my brother,
Same here,
and he's
man.
nasty. He's nasty.
One of my first gigs, and I think I was the oldest. Me and Leo, we were 17, but the other musicians were 15. It wasn't a strip club; it was a burlesque show. We must have played Mr. Magic all damn night long because that was the only groove we could,
Right, the one song.
It was like 45-minute set of Mr. Magic, and they used to come out and they would take things off as they danced to the tempo. So our drummer Frankie was 14. He started speeding up in the dances. He wanted to get to the end of it, but that's how we learned.
Yes,
how we learned. That's my working musicianship.
We played with this guy, and he was doing I Love Music. Remember that, Leroy?
Oh, yeah.
And we were on there was 2 levels to this place.
Right. Yeah.
And we were on the stage, and the cat was singing, and then all of a sudden he disappeared. And we were like, okay. And JB, the guy that was like, the host, he just kept saying, keep playing. We didn't know where this guy went. Turns out the guy went up to the 2nd floor of the balcony.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, we saw this. He jumped down, broke both his ankles, and was hobbling off to the side of the stage. Remember that, Leroy?
Yes, I do.
He said the music had got him so hyped, he thought he could fly. I kid you not. The brother jumped off the 2nd story balcony in a club and just broke both his ankles, right? And we were like, we didn't know what to do. So then we just started jamming P-Funk, right? The guy hobbles off. And I swear to God, I saw him 6 months later. He was walking perfectly.
Wow.
I'll never forget that.
There was a lot of crazy stuff went down that club, man. I remember this chick man got her face sliced. Razor blade style, man. It was nuts. Yeah. But it
was a great time to be coming up in the 70s and early 80s of the music, man. It was beautiful, man.
I'm sorry for our kids now because their introduction to a live event is this. I remember setting up the PAs, running PAs, being in places where I couldn't get out. I didn't drink, but if I wasn't in the band, you couldn't get in. You're having somebody's dad come in and have you, but that was school for us. Yeah, negotiating with promoters, backing up singers, doing the rehearsals, learning new material, trying out stuff. And I played. There was a group called Made in USA, which was a offshoot of a band called Crown Heights Affair.
Oh,
and Janice was the lead singers. They broke away from the band, and we made a band called Spider's Web. Her played drums and did vocals. Jan was a wonderful lead singer, and it was Leo McNeil, Haroon, and myself, guitar, bass, and we covered a plethora of music. We did a funky version of Pink Floyd's "In the Wall" because that was really a nice groove, and all kinds of stuff. But we learned so much about music, professionalism. We grew up that way.
I think we got chopped off.
Oh man!
Hey, it was a great show.
Put me back in, Mark. There we go. Here I am. I'm back.
Okay. All right. I thought we were out for a minute, but
no. I'll let you know when we're going out. Every now and then, here in North Carolina, there'll be some kind of weird dropout. And if that ever happens on future shows, just rebuke. I'm sorry, Larry. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, it's just your experiences as a young man, come up as a musician, lead mine. I got to we crashed. Drummer Lenny White lived in Laurelton, Queens. We went to band rehearsals. Barry Johnson, Eddie Martinez, Skip Anderson, Alpha. I got to work with Raymond Jones from Chic. Matter of fact, we did a lot of music together. And I'm
Larry, hold up right there. Let everyone know who Eddie Martinez was, man. And what jam did he play on? The Rock Box.
Dropbox. Walk This Way. Monster guitar player from the Bronx. Rock and roll. David Bowie. He was a kid around the way. LaBelle. Nona Hendrix. And through meeting those guys, I got introduced to Vernon Reed and worked with plenty of those guys and Black.
Yeah.
So it opened up more doors for me because I was a 15-year-old, 17-year-old. It went from the basement bands to the recording studios.
Yep.
But you had to have your shit together. I mean, excuse me, you had to have your stuff together.
Yeah, you had to have your stuff together.
You just like you couldn't go in there half stepping, and that was one thing. Like, you know, I know all of us had to experience that. Like, if you was gonna come and work in a unit and you didn't have it together, then you wasn't working, because no one had patience for somebody coming in half stepping. And that was a big thing for us out in Strong Island, man. If you wasn't gonna bring it, then you don't come. You know, you just.
It was like the Apollo. It was on Long Island, you know, and Long Island, and I'm still fighting for this. They have a Music Hall of Fame, and I'm trying to constantly, you know, let them know they don't have the best musicians in it for Long Island. They got a couple. They really don't. And, you know, it's political, you know, and they don't have one black act in it from Long Island. And that's incredible. That's impossible. You know, Manchild and, you know, Nappyhead Funk Army and all the great bands, you know, that came from Amityville, that came from Wyandanch, that came from Deer Park, you know, none of those bands are in it. And it really
that's not right, me. Man. Yeah.
No, it bothers me. And I'm constantly writing them emails. I've been doing this for like 20 years, bro, trying to get the Long Island Music Hall of Fame to put in other artists. You know,
whoever the consideration committee needs a change because they don't know the history.
No, they don't. And they don't care about it. They don't. Yeah. They really don't care about it.
Again, that's their history. That is not the history.
Exactly.
I was blessed. I got an opportunity to be an assistant engineer at a studio called Celestial Sounds. I was Chuck Ange, the maintenance and engineer, and one of the engineers took me under his wing. And we used to work sessions from midnight to 6 in the morning. We worked with a guy named Barry Johnson, who I knew from Lenny White's band. He came in with Steve Hodges. They wrote a song called Hi, How You Doing? That's the first single for Kenny G. Kenny G's first single for Arista was Hi, How You Doing?
Right.
And by these two black. If you look at his first album, it's shot in a yellow, black and white negative, and he's got this fuzzy afro. Because R&B single. Yeah. Kenny didn't sing. He played sax on it. But that launched, and then from there, Jonathan Butler and many other people. But you can see it was around the way talent. Those were some Queens boys. Cambridge Heights, St. Albans. They wrote that tune and went to Kenny G. Now, we know Kenny G has this career, but he owes a lot of his career to a guy named Chuck Ange, Barry. And we recorded those guys. They submitted the song. They took the song. It was his first single. Right. So there is history there, and without that first single, because Kenny all he did was solo on it, but the rest of his album was instrumental, and he's known as an instrumentalist. But
and Larry, I'm going to try
Kenny G
for a minute, because that is what this is all about. The show that we're doing today. Z and I have always talked about this. A lot of unknown cats that are out there that have done things that need to get their recognition.
That's right. You know, and that's why we got to keep fighting this fight. We're in prime position right now because we have the knowledge and also the experience and also now the platforms. You know, years ago, can you imagine if they would have had shows like this back when we were first coming out? You know, how much further we would have been able to advance without trying to fight the system. But now it's okay because God has you right where you're supposed to be. So I ain't even sweating that, you know. And I'm just grateful.
Soul Train. The best we had was Soul Train. Remember Soul Train used to be live? Used to be live. I saw Eddie Kennedy. I saw Chris Mayfield. I saw live on Soul Train. You know, it sounds good, but you know, but now we have to, as you are an example of, Zach, we have to utilize these platforms.
And even before Soul Train, Soul was on. And if you go back now on YouTube, right, and everybody check out, we're hanging out with Larry DeCarmine and Leroy Cooper on ibm.tv. Funk from the Front Seat. A beautiful show today. I'm with my two brothers from another mothership. Soul was actually the show where Earth, Wind, and Fire made their debut. Al Green, Parliament. They weren't Parliament Funkadelic at the time. They were just Funkadelic, and you know, a lot of the acts that were on Soul, Lou Rawls, all of them, they went on to be all the things that they were going to be. But Soul used to come on Channel 13 on Saturday afternoons on Long Island. I don't know about nowhere else.
WNEW or WNEW? Yeah.
YouTube it. Go back and YouTube Soul, and it was an actual TV show. And you could go back and see all of these guys. Verdine White takes a bass solo laying on the ground, playing the guitar. Google it. It's called Soul, and all of the episodes are on right now. Again, you can find Funk from the Front Seat right here on ibm.tv every Saturday at 12 p.m. We got spectacular guests, you know, and also tomorrow, Funk Music with Zack live, 12 p.m. on ibm.tv. Check it out. Tomorrow we got Rasta Funk coming on, and every week throughout the week, IBM TV is sponsored by, you know, we got a lot of TV shows, a lot of great content. You know, we got the Green Dot store, so come on and check it out and check out what we're doing over here. Today, our guests, very special to me. You know, Larry and Leroy, you know, LL6, however y'all running that. It's been a blessing. It's been beautiful to have you, and we appreciate all your hard work, all your insight. And you guys can, you know, come on anytime, man. You're always welcome. Fam is fam. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you for the love, man.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, man, it's all good. It's all good. One last word from each one of you. If you're going to put something out there, what is it that you want to tell people today?
Just love yourself, man. Love yourself. Don't believe the hype, and keep pushing for your dream. Keep pushing for your dreams, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. How about you, Larry?
Love yourself. Listen to it all. Absorb it all. Take what's positive. Shift off the negative. Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Got it.
We got to
Go
write
ahead.
something.
Go ahead.
But Z, we all three got to work on something. You know.
Yeah. Hey, I've been writing. I got about 30 songs, man, and you know I'm trying to get them out, and I'm starting to experiment with Cakewalk. You know me, I am not the tech guy, so I'm starting. The COVID has forced me, so I'm just trying to get basic stuff down so I get my ideas to people. You know, but I have like 30 songs right now. I have to still finish the 2 Nappy Head CDs that I started, or the new stuff, and then also, you know, get stuff to guys like yourself so we can collaborate, you know, get some of this music out, you know.
Get your stuff down by any means necessary. I hate to call.
Right.
I mean, if you had to sing in the field with a drum to get your message across, now it's an electronic drum and the field is worldwide. So
yeah,
we got to use the tools, and Lee and I, we've been embracing that and coming. We started as session players. Now he's pushed me to have a more competent home studio. I've introduced him to some things. He's introduced me to some things. And it's a growing collab. But I thank you so much for this opportunity. Great show, great cat, you know, a blessing to you and your family. I know your family's important to you.
Yeah, man, it's my first time meeting you. But you know, once I meet you, Leah, tell you like family, we family, and we just gonna go ahead and kick it. I'm gonna leave y'all with a little something that always gets me funked up. Funk from the Front Seat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's how we gonna make them weak at the knees, y'all. Funk from the Front Seat.
Come on, I want to let me hold you in the eye. Come on, it'll be so.
Yeah, you feel me?
I'm making it feel like you never had in your life. I don't know if you're ready or not.
Funk from the Front Seat, y'all. Party up.
I've been told me no yet. I know it's more stories.
Little same emotion.
Sometimes you I'm even weak at the knees.
Funky, man.
Feel alright.
The acting.
Yeah, man, nothing but a party right here on Funk from the Front Seat, man. Yo, I'm gonna go ahead and get on out of here. I'm gonna check on y'all in a minute. I'll holler at y'all a little later, man, and get back at you, man. But thank you so much. You guys are wonderful, amazing, positive spirits, beautiful black men over here holding it down for yours in Florida. You know, I love y'all so much, man. I'm out.
All right, thank you.
All right, bro.
All right.
Yeah, that was live today with my man Leroy and my man Larry down in Florida, hanging out today with us on Funk from the Front Seat right here on ibm.tv. We always got a lot of great shows hanging out all week long. You know, we run Sunday to Sunday, so you never can miss anything. Always go back on YouTube and check it out and see what's going on with a lot of the other shows. There's another thing that I'm doing tomorrow, Funk Music with Zack. Tomorrow, our special guest is Rasta Funk. So they're going to come on, and I had Mike Patterson on before, but he's going to come on with his other group, and they're going to do some stuff and funk it up for us on the unplugged version, you know, and we're going to go ahead and do some stuff at 12 o'clock. So y'all keep hanging out all day. I know Tish is on the other side, on the other station, doing her thing, you know, just planting the good seeds. And we got our whole IBM family, you know, mad shouts out to everybody, you know, especially our people that sponsor us, you know, and Jim at the Dollar Store, you know, we loving you for that. Lynn, rather, at the Dollar Store, we loving you for that. You know, go to the website, ibm.tv, click on the green button, and you can find all kinds of products that you may need, you know, to go ahead and do your thing and be safe out there, as well as whatever it is, you know. It's really, you know, awesome to have sponsors like Lynn that makes that happen. And again, Funk from the Front Seat, you guys are amazing. I love you guys. You know how I do. I like to keep it funky, and that's all I know how to do, but I'm going to do my best at it. Don't forget, continue to support the independent artists out there of the world. There are a lot of artists out there, like we were talking about today. You may not know who they are, but they're making great, great music, you know, and sooner or later, you know, as times change, we'll figure out a way to get the live scene going again. That's very, very important. I know a lot of people are hurting today because of COVID. A lot of people are hurting today because of economics, situations in your home. You're on the borderline of losing a loved one. I want you guys to know we love you. We love you with all our heart. We'll do anything we can to help you. If ever you feel like you may want to hurt yourself, please reach out to somebody. You know, any one of us on IBM TV, our phone is always available. So if ever you're feeling down and low and you need to reach out, you reach out to one of us. We'll be right here. And this includes all my friends as well as myself. You can hit me up anytime. You guys know how I roll. My life's pretty much an open book. I ain't really trying to hide nothing. We all go through things in life, and sometimes, you know, you need a little help. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Again, if you have a birthday today, happy birthday. I love you. If you have an anniversary today, happy anniversary. You know, for all the graduates, 2020, yo, it's still your year. Don't let this thing, you know, put you in a negative way. You know, yeah, you're going through a lot, but just remember, you worked hard to graduate in 2020 and you did it. So I'm proud of you. Everybody moving up a grade in school, I'm proud of you. All the kids out there doing the right thing, I'm proud of you. All my musician friends, the Nappy Head Funk Army, I'm proud of you. And all the brothers and sisters, no matter what color, because we all are brothers and sisters, doesn't matter what color you are, as long as you're trying to do the right thing, you know, continue to do the right thing. That's all people are saying. So you guys need to know there's a support system here at ibm.tv, and we're still putting some of that stuff in place for everybody, you know, to come and speak their mind, have a platform to do things like I'm doing right here. I'm grateful for that platform. Continue to strive, continue to reach up, continue to do what you do. All right. Number 9, Funk from the Front Seat. I'm out.
Let me tell you more.
Yeah, yeah. Love y'all today.
I wake up in the morning thinking of you. I'm dancing in time with my favorite girl. Don't you know that?
All right, y'all. I'll catch y'all next time.
Dancing in the beat of life.